Hi, Tom Nelson here with a quick video on using your fingers for drumming technique. In a prior video to this, I talked about the hinge points in your arm, your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, and your fingers. This will be the first of 4 videos talking individually about each of those hinge points. This one being the fingers. When I think of fingers, I think of the French position for playing, or the French grip, as some people call it. And I think the key to using your fingers is actually about your thumb. When you come to the French position, your palm comes in like this, and what that does is it forces your thumb on top of the stick. And it allows your other 3 fingers, your pinky, ring, and middle finger, to get under the stick. Your pointer finger will act really as a rotation point, I believe would be the best way to describe it. So the fulcrum is still the thumb and the index pointer finger, with the back 3 fingers doing the work, but it's almost a rollover kind of thing. And to give you that idea, if you put your stick in your hand like this and push your thumb, roll that stick over your pointer finger, that's kind of the idea of what's going on. So when you come to the French position, try that first. Try with just your thumb on top of the stick and your pointer finger underneath, and see if you can do that. That will give you the sensation of finger playing. Now, that, I guess, truly is thumb playing. You don't need to play with your thumb, but it kind of shows you the role of the thumb, the pointer finger, and the fulcrum in finger playing from the French position. So now what you want to do is get that thumb pointed straight up the stick and get the back 3 fingers in on the action. I have a very loose fulcrum between my thumb and my pointer finger. The stick is very loosely in there, and I'm using my bottom 3 fingers to push the stick. I'll slow it down so you can see it. Watch those fingers. See how they work? Now you'll also notice that my wrist isn't moving. And sometimes my wrist will flick a little bit. You'll see a little flick in the wrist. It's kind of hard not to have wrist motion. I don't think you want to lock your wrist completely up. But you can. Some guys are really good with their fingers and literally can lock that wrist and do just fingers. That's pretty close right there. My wrist isn't moving much. Mostly fingers. My elbow's in at my side. I'm very relaxed. Fulcrum is between the pointer finger and thumb, and my fingers are working the stick. That's finger playing from the French position. What you'll find is you can move your hand out to the American position, where your hand is in the American position, but you'll need to leave that thumb on top of the stick to get that finger bounce to go like that. As soon as you turn the stick over to a German position where your palms are down, you lose the thumb. The thumb's not in on the action anymore. The thumb's on the side of the stick. You can still use your fingers in that position, but you're going to notice it's a little bit more difficult right there. And I'm going to tell you, the secret to the fingers is in that thumb. I've watched a lot of professional drummers, and you know, they'll say, "Oh, I can use my fingers in German position," but what you'll notice is, if you really watch, from German they'll come in just a little towards American and roll that hand up just a little bit to get to that thumb, to get that pressure from that thumb to get those fingers to work. I watched a video with Jim Chapin, the great drummer, a great teacher, and he was showing Moeller technique. And he said, well, if you just want one-handed Moeller, you can do one hand here and taps with your left hand. And he played very, very fast, but I noticed in his left hand, with his low taps, he rolled that stick up just a little bit, got that thumb up, and he was using his fingers to play his taps with his left hand. So it's a very, very good technique to have, the finger technique. But you do have to figure it out. So I'll wrap this up. Start in French. Start very slow. Key is that thumb on top of the stick. And just do that for long periods of time. When you get comfortable with that, and do it with both hands, start doing exercises in the French position. I recommend the 8 on a hand and the 8 on a hand extension exercise. Great exercises for fingers. Work on those fingers and then bump that metronome up and see how fast you can do it. You may also do 4s on a hand. That's another great way to work on fingers, right? And work that up. You should be able to get that into the 200s, eighth notes, into the 200s with your fingers. And then 6s, and then 8 on a hand, and just work at it and see how fast you can do it. Generally, we don't use wrist with fingers, but you can use wrist with fingers, and sometimes you'll need to get motion in that stick. See how I did that? That would be kind of a molar thing right there, where I lift the stick and throw it down to get some force behind the stick and get the stick going, and then follow through with my fingers. And that's really the beauty of the fingers. Once you get good at fingers, you can mix it with wrist strokes. One wrist stroke with 3 finger strokes gets you 4 very fast strokes. Throw in a molar whip, and you'll be moving in no time with your speed. Now, one more thing about it: you can't play excessively loud with it, and it's very difficult to accent from the fingers. It's just, if you don't involve your wrist, accents aren't going to work too well for you. I'm not even sure you can. But that's your fingers. That's how you use them. Start in French grip. Good luck with that. Check out my next video. We'll talk about the wrist.